Hi, I'm Karen. I am the ambassador for the Sussex OMS Circle. Now, when you start the OMS programme, or even when you've been doing it for a long time, it can be quite difficult at times to be inspired, to know what to cook. It's really easy to get stuck in a rut. But also, it can seem to take quite a long time, and we have so much going on, or it might be you haven't got that much energy, or whatever it is. What we need is easy to do recipes. So today I am going to share with you a really tasty and very simple sweet potato chickpea tagine. Now, a tagine traditionally is made in those nice terracotta pots, and it's a slow bake, but that's often because the meat in a tagine needs to be cooked for a long time. So a veggie version is actually really quick and simple to make. The thing with the sweet potato is that I'm actually going to roast the sweet potato in the oven because I prefer it to have a bit more texture and chunks, so we're going to add that in at the end. But if you're wondering, well, hang on a second, don't I need to use oil to roast some sweet potato? Actually, if you use a good tin and small pieces and don't leave them in the oven for too long, then actually you do get a little bit of roasting because the moisture and the outsides just caramelise a little bit, and so that can be really tasty. So the ingredients that we're going to use today are one medium sweet potato, which as you can see I've peeled and I've cut into chunks, and I've popped that into a roasting tray. Then in the pan we've got one medium red onion, which I have chopped, one red pepper. You can have a green pepper if you want, or yellow, or whatever colour you want. That's also being chopped into small pieces. Then a courgette, which again is being diced. Then we've got 2 cloves of garlic. Then on top of that, I've got this is the equivalent of a 400 gram tin of chickpeas, which has been drained and rinsed. And I've got a tin of chopped tomatoes. Over here, I've got some dates, so 75 grams of dates. If you don't have dates, you can use some dried apricots. Then on the spices side, I've got a tablespoon of ground cumin, half a tablespoon of ground coriander, half a tablespoon of ground cinnamon, and also I'm adding in a little bit of chili powder. Now you don't have to do that, you can add in some harissa, but I don't have that. So you can just add a little spice that way. And then at the end, I'm going to add some freshly chopped coriander, and then we're going to season it with some salt and pepper. So the first thing I'm going to do is pop the sweet potato in the oven. I've preheated it to 180 degrees. I've preheated this pan, and I've added in a couple of tablespoons of water. Now, this can be a little bit of a tricky technique to learn, but once you've done it a few times, it becomes second nature. You don't want to add your vegetables until you're getting the bubbles like this. And then into the pan, I'm just going to pop in the red onion and the red pepper. Now, as I say, if you haven't got red onion, then use white onion. Use whatever red pepper that you have. If you, for some reason, can't eat pepper, because some people can't, then substitute it for some aubergine, or you could use carrots or something else. You know, just swap the vegetables around. But what you want to do is get an array of lots of different colours in there and lots of different vegetables, because they're going to be giving you lots of lovely nutrients, but also great flavours as well. Now to that, I'm just going to add a little bit of salt, just a pinch. That helps bring the fluids out of the onion, and we are going to let that simmer. So I like, you can leave the lid off, but I actually find that you get a better result and better flavours if you pop the lid on whilst it is cooking. You just need to remember to come back to it. So now that's sizzling nicely, I'm just going to pop on the lid and turn down the heat just for a couple of minutes. This has been simmering now for a couple of minutes, so let's have a look and see what's going on. And hopefully you can see there that there's a little bit of water still in the pan. That's because we've left the lid on so it's not evaporated, and also from the salt, but everything's beginning to soften. So next into the pan we are going to add the courgette. Try not to block your view. Pop in the courgette and in the garlic as well. Thrown them around, add that in. Oh, see, already we've got a lovely combo of colours. And the garlic is wafting up. And so we're just going to pop that lid back on again and leave that for another couple of minutes. Okay, let's have another look. Oh, it's sizzling away nicely now. Now, as I'm moving that onion, you can tell it's just a tiny, weeny bit stuck to the bottom of the pan. That's okay, don't worry, because what we're going to do is just add in a tiny bit more water. So I always have a little bit of water, or stock, you can use stock, next to the pan, and that just deglazes the bottom of the pan and stops everything from sticking. Now that's beginning to soften, so that's great. So what we're going to do now is add in the spices. So there goes the cumin, the coriander, and the cinnamon, and like I said, I'm using a little bit of chili powder. If you're using harissa instead, then you just stir that in at the end. You don't need to add that just now. Oh, and now I've just been hit by the lovely waftures of mainly the cinnamon, and oh, it's delicious. I do love cinnamon. So mix all that in. And now I'm actually going to add in the dates now. You could add them a little bit later if you've got super soft medjool dates, but these ones are a bit harder, and I want them to be really soft for when we eat it. So the dates are going in now. If you're using really hard apricots, again, that might be a good opportunity to put them in now as well. We're going to add in the tomatoes. Anything that was beginning to stick at the bottom of the pan is now being lifted up with the fluid from the tomatoes. Stirring that all in together, you can see how that's all coming together. Now remember, you've got some courgettes in here, so that's going to release some fluid as it cooks. So I'm not going to add in any more fluid at the minute. I'm just going to pop up the heat a tiny bit. Going to bring that to the boil, and as the steam comes out the side, I'm going to turn down the heat and leave that to simmer. So 5 minutes have passed, so let's now have a look and see what is going on. And it's looking pretty good. It's smelling pretty awesome. The courgettes are the one to keep an eye on. So they're still they still have some texture to it. They're not very nice when they go too mushy. But you can see that's looking all lovely and thick. So we need to add one more key ingredient for a chickpea tagine, which is the actual chickpeas. So in there going to go. Give that a stir. And then we're going to pop the lid back on for another few minutes. As you can see, I've taken the sweet potato out of the oven now, and it's cooked. So I'm just going to pierce that. You see, that's all nicely cooked, and it's actually firm on the outside and just beginning to go brown. So that's perfect to go into our tagine. So now let's see what's going on with the tagine. Oh, that's looking really good. It's ready. So this has just taken about 20 minutes in total cooking away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in half of the sweet potato and then just let that blend in. And then I'm going to add the other half on top when I serve it. Just so that you get different textures. This will soften slightly as it's in the tagine itself and absorb some of the flavours, and then it's almost like a sweet potato garnish on top. Okay, so now it's all ready to go. So that's all nice and bubbled away. We just need to season it, popping in a bit of black pepper. Like I say, if you're using harissa, then you just stir a little bit of that in now. Some salt. Going to give that a good stir. I'm going to stir in half of the fresh coriander now, or maybe just slightly more than half. And then I'm going to stick the other half on top as we serve, not stir. So, let's just move the camera up a tiny bit. So over here, I have just cooked some couscous, which is very easy and quick to cook. Just takes five minutes or so. So some couscous, and with this lovely tagine. And a little extra sweet potato on top. And, whoops, don't need the stem. And some freshly ground coriander. Beautiful. Now I'm also going to put a little bit of soya yogurt on the side and a swirl of the flaxseed oil just to finish it off. But there you go. 20-25 minutes, super tasty sweet potato chickpea tagine. I hope you enjoy it.